Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins. Picture this. A helicopter hovers over the sprawling chaos of Los Angeles. Inside, a man stares down at an ordinary-looking building, and suddenly time collapses. Just 12 years ago, he was scrubbing the floors of that very place, wondering if his beat-up 1960 Volkswagen would survive another day. He was broke, overweight, and drowning in loneliness, his dreams feeling about as reachable as the moon. Now, he's piloting his own private helicopter, a millionaire, looking down at his former prison. One thought loops through his mind. What a difference a decade can make. That man was Tony Robbins. And here's the thing. His transformation wasn't some lightning strike moment of luck. It was the result of cracking a code that lives inside every single one of us, just waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving into his masterwork, Awaken the Giant Within. Think of it as the owner's manual you never got for your brain, a blueprint for hijacking your own life and steering it wherever you want to go. By the time we're done, you'll understand the invisible puppet strings that have been pulling at every decision you've ever made. Better yet, you'll know exactly how to grab those strings yourself. For over 30 years, Robbins has coached everyone from presidents to Olympic athletes to people just like you and me who are searching for their edge. He's not some ivory tower philosopher. He's a results junkie. And this book is everything he's learned about creating change that's immediate, profound, and permanent. So buckle up. Let's wake up that sleeping giant inside you. We all carry dreams around, don't we? Somewhere deep down, we believe we've got something special, something that could genuinely matter. But then, life happens. The frustrations stack up, the routines calcify, and before you know it, that dream is buried under years of maybe someday. The giant falls asleep. Robbins gets it because he lived it. He remembers squeezing himself into a tiny 400-square-foot apartment, feeling invisible to the world, overweight, broke, and convinced his life was just happening to him rather than being created by him. Then one day, a sad Neil Diamond song came on the radio, and something inside him finally broke. He said out loud, "I've had it. I know I'm so much more than this." Right then, he made a decision, not a wish, not a "wouldn't it be nice if," a bone-deep burn-the-ships decision. He decided he would never settle for less than he could be. And that single moment rewrote his entire destiny. Here's the first knockout punch from the book. Your destiny is shaped in your moments of decision, not by your circumstances. Think about it. 10 years from now, you're going to arrive somewhere. The only question is where. Who will you have become? And here's the kicker. If you're not consciously designing that future, you've already made a decision. You've decided to let life happen to you. Most of us confuse preferences with decisions. Saying, "I'd like to get in shape," is just window shopping. A real decision is when you eliminate every other option. The word decision comes from Latin roots meaning to cut off. When you truly decide, you cut yourself off from the possibility of failure. Think about Rosa Parks in 1955. When she refused to give up her seat on that Montgomery bus, she wasn't just tired from work. She had made a decision. She raised her standard for what she would accept, and in that quiet, steel-spined moment, she lit a fuse that changed American history. One woman. One decision. That's the power we all hold. So what's the invisible force behind these life-changing decisions? What actually controls human behavior? Robbins says it all boils down to one primal engine: pain and pleasure. Everything you and I do traces back to either avoiding pain or chasing pleasure. It's the hidden hand steering every choice, every habit, every action. Why do we procrastinate? Because somewhere in your wiring, taking action right now feels more painful than putting it off. But then deadline night hits, and suddenly, not taking action becomes unbearable. The scales tip, and boom, you're motivated. This force explains everything from breathtaking heroism to senseless cruelty. Robbins shares two jarring stories. Teenagers who brutally attacked a jogger in Central Park for fun, and a plane crash survivor who repeatedly passed the life preserver to others in the freezing Potomac River, saving them while he drowned. What's the difference? One group linked pleasure to cruelty. The hero linked pleasure to contribution, and unbearable pain to the thought of saving himself while others died. This same force drives Donald Trump, who linked pleasure to being the biggest and best, and Mother Teresa, who linked pleasure to easing suffering. Opposite values, identical mechanism. The most important lesson you'll ever learn is what you link pain and pleasure to. That shapes everything. If you can link massive, gut-wrenching pain to a bad habit, you'll run from it. If you link incredible pleasure to a new empowering behavior, you'll be magnetically drawn to it. This is the secret to breaking any pattern. Willpower alone never works because you're still secretly linking pleasure to the old habit. To create lasting change, you have to rewire the association in your nervous system. This is what Robbins calls neuro-associative conditioning, or NAC, a 6-step process for reprogramming your brain. Step 1. Get crystal clear on what you really want and what's been stopping you. Most people know what they don't want but are foggy on what they do. And what stops us is usually the belief that changing will hurt more than staying the same. Step 2 is the game changer. Get leverage. You must associate massive, unbearable pain with not changing now, and explosive, exhilarating pleasure with changing immediately. This can't be a should, it has to become a must. Ask yourself the hard questions. What will this cost me if I don't change? What will I miss out on? And on the flip side, how will I feel about myself if I do change? What momentum will this create? You need reasons powerful enough to blast through any obstacle. One hilarious leverage story from the book. 2 women struggling to lose weight made a contract stating that if either cheated on their diet, they'd have to eat an entire can of Alpo dog food on camera for all their friends to see. Whenever temptation struck, they'd just pick up the can and read, "horse meat chunks." They both hit their goal weight without a single slip. That's leverage. Step 3. Interrupt the limiting pattern. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if you keep running the same mental loop, you'll get the same result. You've got to scramble the signal. Think of it like scratching a record. It'll never play the same way again. If you feel depression creeping in, Robbins suggests jumping up and yelling in a ridiculous voice, "Hallelujah! My feet don't stink today." It's so absurd it shatters the state instantly. Fourth, create a new, empowering alternative. This is where most people crash and burn. They stop an old habit but have nothing to replace it with. Your brain always seeks a path to pleasure. If you quit smoking but don't find a healthier way to get that relaxation or escape you were craving, you'll eventually crawl back. Choose a new behavior that gives you the same positive feelings without the wreckage. Fifth, condition the new pattern until it's automatic. This means repetition with emotional intensity. Rehearse the new pattern in your mind over and over. Imagine it vividly. Feel the pleasure it brings. The more you do this, the stronger that neural pathway becomes until it's a superhighway to success. And reinforce it. Set up rewards. When you push the plate away with food still on it, celebrate that victory. Step 6. Test it. Imagine a future situation that used to trigger the old pattern. See yourself automatically using the new one instead. This future pacing locks in the change and gives you confidence it'll stick. These 6 steps are the mechanics of change. But to truly direct your life, you need to understand the master system controlling all your evaluations, the system deciding what means pain and what means pleasure in the first place. This master system has 5 components, and the most powerful is your beliefs. Beliefs are the command center telling us what leads to pain and what leads to pleasure. They're unquestioned orders to your nervous system. The book shares a powerful story. 2 brothers with the same abusive, alcoholic father. One became a drug addict and criminal, just like Dad. The other became a happily married, successful professional who never touched drugs or alcohol. When asked separately why their lives turned out that way, both gave the exact same answer. What else could I have become with a father like that? It's never the events of our lives that shape us, but our beliefs about what those events mean. One brother believed his father's example was his destiny. The other believed it was a warning, a blueprint for what to avoid. Same event, different beliefs, completely different destinies. A belief is simply a feeling of certainty about something. Robbins uses a great metaphor. An idea is like a tabletop with no legs. It can't stand. A belief is a tabletop supported by reference legs, experiences from your past backing up the idea. If you believe you're incompetent, it's because you've collected references of times you failed and stacked them under that tabletop. But don't you also have references of times you succeeded? You could just as easily build a tabletop called, I am capable. The question isn't which belief is true, but which one serves you better. Great leaders are rarely realistic by other people's standards. They're masters at creating empowering beliefs. Before 1954, everyone believed it was impossible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. It was a global limiting belief. But Roger Bannister didn't buy it. He rehearsed the event over and over in his mind, creating imagined references until he felt absolute certainty. When he finally broke the barrier, something incredible happened. Within 1 year, 37 other runners broke it too. The next year, 300 more. Bannister didn't just break a record, he shattered a limiting belief for the entire world. He gave everyone else a powerful new reference for what's possible. Even deeper than beliefs is your sense of identity. Your identity is the ultimate belief. It's your belief about who you are. It's the most powerful force shaping your life because we always act consistently with our view of ourselves. If you have an identity as a fat person, you can diet and lose weight, but you'll almost always gain it back because your behavior must eventually align with your identity. The only way to create lasting change is to change your identity. Stop seeing yourself as a fat person and start seeing yourself as an athletic, healthy, vibrant person. Once your identity shifts, your behaviors naturally follow to support that new definition of who you are. Instead of trying to change a habit, you change who you believe you are at the deepest level. So how do we direct this whole system? How do we control our state, our beliefs, and ultimately our identity? The most powerful tool we have is the power of questions. Thinking is simply asking and answering questions. The questions you ask moment to moment determine what you focus on, and therefore how you think and feel. If you're depressed, chances are you're asking disempowering questions like, "What's the use?" or "Why does this always happen to me?" Your brain is like a loyal servant. Whatever question you ask, it will find an answer. Ask a terrible question, get a terrible answer. But what if in a moment of crisis you asked a different question? Something like, "What's great about this problem?" or "What can I learn from this?" or "How can I use this to my advantage?" Just asking a new question instantly changes your focus, changes the resources you access, and changes your emotional state. Quality questions create a quality life. Robbins gives us a set of morning power questions to start each day in a peak state. Simple questions like, what am I happy about in my life now? How does that make me feel? Or what am I grateful for? Answering these for just a few minutes each morning floods your nervous system with positive emotions and sets the filter for your entire day. Equally powerful are the words we use. The labels we put on our experiences become our experiences. Robbins calls this transformational vocabulary. He tells a story of being in a meeting when bad news arrived. He felt angry. His CEO was furious and enraged. But another colleague simply said he was a bit annoyed. Annoyed? Robbins thought it was ridiculous. But then he tried it. The next time he felt that volcanic anger building, he said to himself, I'm feeling a bit peeved. Just saying that silly word broke his pattern and made him laugh. The intensity dissolved. By consciously choosing words that lower the intensity of negative emotions, peeved instead of enraged, and words that heighten positive ones, spectacular instead of fine, you can radically reshape your moment-to-moment experience of life. An impoverished vocabulary leads to an impoverished emotional life. And finally, we use metaphors to make sense of the world. A metaphor is a shortcut to meaning, but if you have a disempowering metaphor, it can trap you. If you say, life is a battle, you've just adopted a whole set of limiting beliefs. A battle is something you can lose, something where you get hurt, where there are enemies. What if instead your metaphor was, life is a dance, or life is a game? A single shift in a global metaphor can change how you approach everything. So how do we put all this together? How do we build the habits of thinking that create an extraordinary life? This brings us to one of the most practical tools in the book, the 10-day mental challenge. The challenge is simple. For 10 consecutive days, commit to not dwelling on any unresourceful thoughts or feelings. Refuse to indulge in negative questions, disempowering vocabulary, or limiting metaphors. When a negative thought arises, and it will, don't beat yourself up. Simply use the tools you've learned to shift your state immediately. Ask a better question. Change your physiology. Stand tall. Smile. Change your focus to the solution, not the problem. The rule is, if you dwell on a negative thought for more than a minute or two, you start the 10 days over again. This exercise does something profound. First, it makes you acutely aware of negative mental habits you've been running on autopilot. Second, it forces your brain to search for empowering alternatives. Third, it conditions new neural pathways, creating new habits of thought that will serve you for life. It's like a mental cleanse that reboots your entire system. Ultimately, all this personal power, all this mastery over our own minds and emotions, leads us to the final and perhaps most important lesson of the book. The secret to living is giving. An extraordinary life isn't about what you get. It's about what you contribute. Once you've learned to meet your own needs, you discover that the deepest fulfillment comes from helping others. The book ends with a powerful challenge: to recognize that one person can and does change the world. Sam LeBud, with just $800 and a video camera, took on the entire tuna industry to save dolphins, and won. Mother Teresa, an Albanian nun, decided that no one in her reach would die without dignity, and her compassion touched the globe. The ultimate challenge is to use the power you've awakened within yourself not just to design your own destiny, but to make a difference in the lives of others. That's the path to the only true and lasting success. As we wrap up our journey through Awaken the Giant Within, What strikes me most is its unshakable belief in human potential. This isn't just a book about strategies. It's a declaration of what's possible for a human being who decides to take conscious control of their life. The core message is breathtakingly simple. We are not creatures of circumstance. We are the creators of our lives. The force shaping our destiny isn't our past, our environment, or the events that happen to us. It's the meaning we give to those things. And that meaning? We control it completely. What makes this book timeless is that it hands you the keys to the control panel of your own mind. It demystifies why we do what we do, breaking it down into understandable components. Our decisions are driven by our need to avoid pain and gain pleasure. Those drives are guided by our beliefs, and our deepest beliefs form our identity. Once you see that structure, you're no longer a victim of your own mind. You become its director. The genius of Robbins' work is its practicality. It doesn't just tell you what to do. It gives you concrete, actionable tools for how to do it. The ideas of NAC, transformational vocabulary, and the power of questions aren't just interesting theories. They're simple, powerful levers you can pull right now to change how you feel and what you're capable of. The 10-day mental challenge, for instance, is a profound exercise in mindfulness and self-mastery that anyone can start tomorrow morning. It's a call to stop being a passive passenger in your own head and to start actively steering your thoughts toward the destination you choose. If there's one idea to take away from this entire book, it's this: an extraordinary life is not a matter of luck. It's a matter of strategy and discipline. It's about raising your standards, changing your limiting beliefs, and modeling the strategies of those who've already succeeded. It's about understanding that every moment offers a new choice, and that the power to transform your life resides in the decisions you make from one moment to the next. This book is an invitation to stop waiting for someday, and to decide that your life, starting now, will be a masterpiece of your own design. We've explored the core lessons of Awaken the Giant Within today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. It can show you the main roads and highlights, but it can never replace the experience of actually walking the paths, breathing the air, and discovering the hidden treasures yourself. The real power of this book lies in the personal journey it takes you on. If any of the ideas we've discussed today, the power of decision, the force of pain and pleasure, the ability to change your identity, have sparked something in you, I wholeheartedly encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just an intellectual exercise, it's an experience that can fundamentally change the way you see yourself and the world. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring the ideas that have shaped the world's most successful people, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. We have many more journeys to take together through the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing, and let's keep awakening the giants within.